Hello, welcome to Sunday Funday again, yay! Yes, Sunday Funday is here. I am all on my own. I was trying to actually do it yesterday, well, today is Sunday actually, because we actually had to see the movie yesterday because today I have stuff I'm going to do, which reminds video might be a little short and also might be a little more random and jumbled than normal. But yes, I was trying to do the video yesterday. We were trying to do it. It just was a crappy video. We were both just tired, Megan and me, and it was like, I'll just do it tomorrow by myself. Hopefully I'll remember most of this movie, which of course is The Magnificent Seven, or I think it's just called Magnificent Seven, which of course is the remake of the original, or the Western Magnificent Seven, which is a remake of Seven Samurai, or yeah, I think it's called Seven Samurai, even though it's about running, which is kind of odd. But so a whole other thing to talk about Japanese culture and try and figure that crap out. Which I ain't gonna try and do, because I don't get it sometimes. That's usually why even my manga reviews sometimes just go right over my head. But first, before I can actually do a proper Sunday Funday and actually talk about the movie that we saw, pardon me, I first had to do a little bit of housekeeping. And everybody's like, he keeps doing these on his videos. This one actually is something that is very disappointing. I have been trying, or I really want to do contentious top 10s every Saturday. I want to film them then, if I can have them up by then. Sometimes it depends, because as you saw with the first one, they're very long. Doing 2 top 10 lists, pairing back and forth and talking about them and everything, it sometimes can get to be a bit much. This Saturday, it's not the problem of not being able to do it, because Megan and me usually would have the time no matter what, even if she would be working then. Usually she doesn't work any later than about 9-ish or so. The problem is actually me. Not that I don't want to do it, because I actually wanted to do this topic because, as we all know, we want to hear somebody bitching and moaning about Twilight. But actually it's because at my job we are being forced to work overtime. And I'm not saying I'm taking the overtime. No, we are being forced to do this. Pardon me, my throat is just bleh. Sinuses and everything. You're already getting me scratching my nose because it's like itching so bad right now. I will take some for it. Yes, we're being forced to all work overtime on our first off day. And I work a normal 40-hour shift. This time I'm working 50 hours. So my off day starts usually on Saturday. It goes Saturday through Monday. Yes, I work 4 days a week. Because of that, we can't put it out this Saturday. I'm not even sure if we're going to have time to be able to do it also on Sunday, because of the fact that I'm going to have my weekend shortened. It will just all depend upon a few things, but right now, contentious top 10s might be on a bit of a hiatus after their first episode, which severely just angers me to my core. Because I really wanted this to be a consistent series, much like Sunday Funday, unlike Inconsistent Bookworm, Different Tastes, and I have never seen, which we've done a grand total 2 episodes of. But I wanted these to be consistent. I wanted to come out every 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it looks like the first time I'm going to do something just fell. I don't know what that was. I have a drink over here and I'm just wanting some drink. But the first time, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's terrible. But oh well. There should be a Sunday Funday next week. Worst comes to worst, I will figure out a way to do something to get out of work, and I will leave early so that way we can go see a movie and get that taken care of, because I want to see more movies, especially since next week is stuff I don't think I will want to see, but hey, I need to check it out. In fact, I need to do, I think I told you, no, I know it is, it's Miss Peregrine. Actually, I am kind of almost curious, because I actually have read the book, but I'm getting way ahead of myself, and I am totally not talking about Magnificent Seven, which was it actually a really good remake. Mind you, I can't remember exactly if I have seen the original Magnificent Seven. I'm not the world's biggest Western fan, mostly just because, for lack of any better phrasing or in the kind of silly pun, they tend to be very dry. I mean, before Django Unchained, which I actually really enjoyed, and I'm not a big Quentin Tarantino fan, one of my favorite Westerns was American Outlaws, which is a really dumb movie, but I really love it because it was just fun. And for me, that was the biggest problem with a lot of Westerns. They weren't having a lot of fun. They didn't, like, there wasn't really levity, or if it was that old-timey kind of levity, because Westerns had their heyday back in the early 70s, 60s, and 50s. And just that style of movie making is a little dated. It really is a little dated. You can't do a nearly 3-hour epic movie and it's just kind of just a lot of talking about stuff, giving a lot of backstory about characters, pretty much expositing about them, and not giving a lot of substance to that, which was one of the big issues I constantly had with Westerns. There always wasn't a lot of substance. Like, there was a lot of character developments, but there wasn't any action, there was very little action. What was there always felt bereft of anything. The original True Grit I recently saw. It's like, I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it was a great movie in any fashion. I thought the acting was good and all this and that, but there was so little really happening throughout it. It's surprising that it's been held up as such a classic. And I have not seen the remake either. I'm not that big of a Coen brothers. I know, I'm a devil. I can't. You don't like Coen brothers. What kind of critic are you? I'm a critic who just doesn't like the Coen brothers movies that much. Not that I think they're terrible. It's just I've never enjoyed them all that much. But oh, to talk about Magnificent Seven, I do know I have seen Seven Samurai, which this is, of course, its original inspiration. It's based on Japanese tale of a town that is under control pretty much by a despot. And really, it's a similar issue here, exactly the same. I don't know if this is the same thing that was in the original. I don't know how much is original, how much isn't, or anything like that. But I do know that there are 7 people that helped to fight against the thing. Some of them died and some lived. Whether names were changed or anything like that, who knows? There we go. Feels a little better. Yes, 7 people were here to save this town. And here, the head of all the evildoers and all that is Peter Skarsgård, I think. Yeah, Stellan Skarsgård's son. He is looking exactly like his father nowadays, which is not a bad thing. But yes, Peter Skarsgård is here as their villain, and he really is in this movie for about 10 minutes, if that. He's just there to look menacing, just do this. And honestly, he's one of the weak points of this movie. There are a few issues with this movie, but he's just a villain and he's not incredibly well developed, because his motivation is what a lot of motivations are for villains. What the motivation for Lex Luthor in Superman Returns was. Money. It's all about money and power. And I don't know, it's just, I know that is a very common villain trait, and that is what makes a lot of villains what they tend to actually be after, and that's what makes them good in their own way. But there's more usually to it, and he's just a bad guy through and through. He abuses people, he abuses his township and everything, and they're like, oh, well, he's got so much power and money, and pretty much he's like an evil Donald Trump. And I don't know. Like I said, he does a good job with what he's given, but he's not given a lot. We don't get a whole lot about him. Like, and also he goes on these speeches about God and all this. And I don't know, it feels very tacked on at times. It's like, alright, that doesn't really mesh well. I don't know. It's not a great villain. Like, you think all the great villains out there of all time, this guy probably wouldn't even be top 50. He's a really I don't even remember his name. Well, no, it's Bogue. I only remember because I said his name like 5,000 times, which is kind of ironic because I don't say many of the characters' names very often. But that's something I'm going to get into. Yeah, guy Bogue, bad guy, hate people. Though I will say, the movie does do certain things that I was kind of surprised with. Like, he kills people at the beginning, pretty much just willy-nilly, which I was expecting. But then he has his guys just start slaughtering like 6 of them. 6 people. It's like, okay, that was... And one of them's like a woman. It's like pretty brutal how she gets killed. And like I said, that was actually alright. This movie's saying its tone of where it's going. It's not going to pull too many punches. Though, this is my other issue. I could see where it did end up starting to pull punches. And that was, I think this movie was rated R. I think originally this movie was supposed to be a, not super hard R, but, you know, a very decent R. And you can kind of see that. This movie does feel like it's edited for time, or it's edited for content, because like there's certain points where you were pretty sure that somebody would have bled really violent or very profusely or anything like that. Especially since people are getting stabbed and shot by arrows, and like they're just getting blown away, and people are just getting pounded by bullets. And it feels like some of the blood has been like reduced by quite a bit. And certain things that you think should be a little bit bloodier aren't. And that kind of feels a little cheap. It's like, wait, why'd y'all edit this? And I guess it's to appeal to a broader audience, but that's kind of a stupid argument because, especially with this movie, the audience is going to be people who enjoyed the original Magnificent Seven, want to see if it can be done again better, or anything like that. And also, it's going to be for older people, because, no offense, younger people don't care for Westerns as much. It's going to be meant for the people who like Django Unchained, but wanted a little less talking. Even though Django Unchained's a fantastic movie. It is actually one of the better movies out there. Times where you're sitting there going, okay, so why did this feel like it gets set down? And that's what it does. And also, there feels like there's certain little plot points. Like, eventually we come across a Comanche warrior. I think his name's like Red Hawk or something like that. I'm going to have to look it up, and I know you are going to hate me because I'm going to be staring at my phone for a second. That is if we can't, because my internet's been acting weird all day. Like, I was trying to look something up earlier, and it's like, no. It's like, here, figure it out for yourself. Deal with it, man. Oh, now it's actually pulled up just fine, no problems. In fact, I'm going to have to look up all the different characters, because that is one of the issues with this movie, is that we'll have some characters get introduced, like the name will be said, and it feels like they're never said again. I really just, I chalk that all up, pardon me, and to the fact that I think this movie is edited down for time. I think originally this movie was sitting a lot closer to probably at least a 3-hour mark, which honestly I wouldn't have minded. Really, even though I'm sometimes against 3-hour-long movies, this one I would have had no issues dealing with a 3-hour-long movie. Red Harvest, that's his name. I was thinking actually it was, I just couldn't remember. I was like, that does not sound like that should be his name. But his name's actually Red Harvest. Though, thinking about it, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, the Comanche warrior who's in this movie, his name is Red Harvest. And in fact, they just stumble upon him. And that's kind of the weird thing, is certain little plot points keep getting brought up, or just they happen. and it feels a little bit out of left field. Like, they go after getting Vincent D'Onofrio's character, again, another person, I don't even remember his name, I will look it up, Jack. His name's Jack Horn. But after they get him, they're like, alright, we're ready. Even though like they ended up with Ethan Hawke and his buddy, whose name is Billy. He's the Asian guy from this movie. And literally Billy just tags along because Ethan Hawke's with him. It's a whole deal and all that. Which I will get into when I talk more about the I'll spoil more of the movie. Although technically I am right now. But yeah, after they get Jack, they kind of talk briefly about something, and then like Ethan Hawke does the line from the trailer, make sure you're fighting the battle that's in front of you, not behind you. Even though that line kind of comes out of nowhere, and that's where I was beginning to say, alright, this movie got edited down. I think this movie was a R that was probably seen a lot closer to 3 hours, and an hour got cut out of it, or maybe 20 minutes or so. Sorry, ears itching like crazy. Everything on me's itching. It's weird. So that happens. They do this little speech. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but hey, it's what it is. And then we get Red Harvest just appears. Hey, what's up? Want a deer heart? And pretty much he joins them. And it feels like there was more to it, because also later on during the final big battle and everything, like, we learn that there is a Native American that's also helping Bogue, who's like in a suit, and but he has Native American makeup on. He's the guy who like butchered the lady at the very beginning of this movie, which was kind of awesome. And really set the tone for a bad guy who is very menacing, but just not very interesting. But yeah. And like him and Red Harvest kind of have like this short little duel thing, and Red Harvest says, "You're a disgrace," and everything. I felt like there was something more to all of that. I'm like, I think there was actually some reason why Red Harvest joined them is because of something like, maybe that was like a family member, maybe that was another part of his tribe or something like that, which in Native American culture, many tribes, their tribes are their family in a way. And it just doesn't really have a payoff. It feels like that was supposed to be a payoff for something, but we never got to see the rest of that payoff or the rest of that story to give us that payoff. It's kind of weird. There's other tiny little bits, like I think there was a little bit more about Jack, Vincent D'Onofrio's character, because we get quite a bit about Billy, the Asian guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I think it's, Bong Hun Lee. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering your name. I'm very sorry. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's actually Chinese. I don't know. He might be Korean. Wait, I know this guy. I can't recognize where the hell I've seen him from. And it's funny, the Ethan Hawke picture they have on here on IMDb is like an old picture. But yeah, also he gets an introduction actually. Ethan Hawke gets one, though it's told here and there where we learn that Ethan Hawke was actually a sharpshooter for the Confederate Army. You know, and that's kind of interesting. We get finally actually some information about Denzel Washington's character. His name is Chisholm. I don't know why. I know that it's probably the name of the character from the movie, but y'all do realize it's really close to other things. Oh well. But we only get any kind of information about Chisholm at the very end of the movie. I know some mystery surrounding character. Well, beyond the fact he's a bounty hunter, we don't know much else about him. And I know mystery can sort of help, but we don't know why he's so insistent about going after Bogue until we learn that Bogue helped to be the reason why his sisters and mother and all them were raped and killed. So, alright, cool. Glad we got that, though. I think it was supposed to have been something more earlier on, and this scene just got added in late at the end of the movie. Like, this is at the end of the movie when he finally confronts Bogue face to face. And also, you get Chris Pratt's character. He's got actually an actual introduction. And it's strange that the Native American and the trapper, and Velasquez, who is from the trailers everybody knows, Chris Pratt kind of pokes fun. Oh, good, we have a Mexican. He is a Hispanic guy. Those three characters, Velasquez, Red Harvest, and Jack, it's D'Onofrio again, they really aren't given anything. Like, they don't get a whole lot of lines, and they don't get a whole lot to really do, and they don't get a backstory, really. Like, we just know Red Harvest is a Comanche, and he's kind of a badass, and he likes to use a bow and arrow. Jack, we learn he's just a mammoth monster of a man. Sorry, my brain was not putting those M's together, right? You know, and he's a trapper who has no concerns against killing people who do wrong. And Velasquez, we learn, is kind of a guy who's willing to kill, but usually it's for the right reasons. Beyond that, we don't get anything else about them. Again, that's the reason why I think this movie was edited. I think everybody got some kind of real good character development, some real good push and all that, and none of it really was actually there, unfortunately. Now, beyond that, this movie's actually really fantastic. It sounds like I've really been shitting on this movie, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of have been, it sounds like. But really, this movie is really good if you can kind of take away from the fact that this is a very heavily edited product we're looking at. But by no means does the heavy edits completely take away from this movie. They take away some, but not enough that this movie is not enjoyable for what it is. Like, whenever I was like, alright, let me just quit thinking about the fact that this is probably an edited movie. Edited a little bit more than most. Like, it's not... Like, every movie has edits, of course. But this movie has bigger chunks taken out. Like, almost Superman v. Batman vs. Superman levels of edit. Like, 30 minutes of that movie was taken out. That's surprising to me. Or Watchmen, where actually the edits they took out of Watchmen really shouldn't have. Like, they helped to add to the movie, and there was about 20 minutes or so to Watchmen. Watchmen still is a very poorly acted movie and not a really greatly written one. Sorry, Alan Moore, your stories aren't very great. You know, people are like, oh, Alan Moore, great taste, how far? He has some good moments, but Watchmen, I think, was an overrated comic book. I might do a ratings to talk about that, because I really want to go and delve more into it. But yeah, this is one of those movies where I think the edits slightly hurt it, but not like in the way of like, oh my god, why did you cut that out? Maybe I'll watch it and I'll think that more, but this is not, it's not enough to say this movie is a bad movie. This isn't even just a good movie, this is a great movie. There is great action, like, we eventually get to see them all band together to take out pretty much the first wave of Bogue's guys who are supposed to be holding this town down while Bogue is way in Sacramento doing God knows what. And oh my god, is it one of the better shot action scenes. The only way it could be better is if it was completely just like very Alfonso Cuarón, I think is how it's pronounced. Gentleman who did The Revenant, and if I'm not mistaken, also did Birdman, and I can't remember the rest of that movie style, where a lot of it is just pretty much, it looks like one take. Or just the gentleman who did The Revenant, because that was like one very fantastic, technically Western in a way, if you want to think about it. And though I think of it more as a just damn good movie. But yeah, that's the only way I think the scene would have been better. But to be fair, this is the gentleman who did Equalizer and Training Day. That's not how he does things, but he does do fantastic action sequences, and this is without a doubt fantastically shot action sequence. Also, he really does get the most out of all his different characters. He does have to juggle a lot of people, but he gets the most he can Again, I think there was more that he probably shot and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if this gentleman, who I'm afraid I cannot pronounce his name correctly, his first name, if I'm not mistaken, is Antone, but I can't pronounce his last name at all. I am very, very sorry. Great director, though. If I see more of his work, I'm going to go out and go see it. Just because his name's attached to it. Even if it's like a drama or something. I'm pretty sure it'll be well written and well directed. But yeah, he really can get the most out of his characters. Even despicable characters, for the most part, you can actually sometimes enjoy watching them on screen, even if they're the worst human beings ever. I Denzel Washington from Training Day. And really, it's kind of fun to sit there and just watch this movie. Sure, some could say, oh, it's just a popcorn flick and blah, blah, blah. Because the characterizations that are there, because of the edits, they're a little weaker than they should be. Some speeches kind of come out left field, like the make sure we're fighting the battle in front of us, not behind us. Speech comes out of left field. Never really doesn't mean anything. But I mean, you have everybody putting forth like their 100% A game. Ethan Hawke, who sometimes will coast through movies, which I don't blame him. He's kind of been given the right to. But if he has a director that's behind him, that's actually pushing him and giving him some great work, or giving him some great motivation and everything, he puts out some fantastic stuff. And he had a great director behind him in Training Day, and he was able to put out something decent. But to show he's grown as an actor, he's doing even better here. And he's just great as a grizzled, just kind of... Sorry, I want to turn off my thing, so otherwise I'm not just eating data the whole time. My phone's like, God, man, you're really just not doing anything with me. Yeah, he's just a nice, grizzled, old war veteran who, in a way, is actually kind of sick of war, and he really doesn't like shooting his gun anymore, which is actually kind of cool. I like that idea, even though it's technically been done before. But here, I guess it's done so stylishly that it's very interesting. And it's with an actor who you really believe him. And his just look of just like he doesn't want to, really. But he finally does to save this town. And I will say, that final action sequence, where Bo gets all his men to charge forth and tear apart this town and everything, it's one of the best action sequences of this year. And yes, I would say it's slightly worse, but not by much. Slightly worse than the Civil War superhero Brawl for All, which was really, really damn good. This one comes close, but I think it's like the Brawl for All just had a little too many squee moments for me to not want to rank it a little higher. No offense. This movie almost made me want to squee, just watching these people having to fight for their town. A lot of them just getting blasted away because they're not really gunfighters. They have like a week's worth of training, but they do good for what they do, what they need to do. Sorry, little Jude. And really, you get this sense that these people are really being desperate, and you get this just magnificent fight scene. I mean, if I could say anything against it, it's a bit predictable. Like, the people who you were expecting are probably going to die from our heroes do die. I'm not going to give that away, unfortunately, for y'all. But, like, those who die, it's like they go down in a blaze of glory, which is fantastic. Always, you're supposed to let your heroes go down punching. You don't just let them just die. Just die. Who cares? And because of that, because his action's great, characterization that they allowed to stay in the movie, because Hollywood wants to butcher everything, is really well done, and the acting is superb throughout. I mean, there's nowhere would I say any of the acting is bad. All this acting is really good. Chisholm is, his kind of grumbly, but, very lovable kind of grump in a way. Velasquez is just a smiling, debonair kind of person that you just really love to watch him, and you really wish he had more time, which I guess they cut out some. Chris Pratt is always enjoyable. He was the best part of Jurassic World, even though Jurassic World sucked so many dicks. But he was still the best part of it. Then you have Ethan Hawke. Then you have Byung Hun Lee. I am sorry I'm butchering your name probably. I think I've said it 3 different times. Or 3 times, all different. He does great with what he's supposed to do, even though he's supposed to be a very silent kind of protagonist, and a lot of things he says are just hilarious. They're supposed to be hilarious. And that's the thing, this movie has a nice charm about it, a nice wit that I really love. I don't know if y'all heard that, a little bit of thunder. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's little storms popping up around it. Texas in the fall, and spring, winter, just not there in summer, of course. Yeah, pretty much, you name a character, you're going to have, you can remember something that they did that you really loved. They're like, I love that scene that they did. And that kind of centered around them. Again, that's the reason why I think this movie got edited. I think there were more scenes for each character. So, all in all, I'd say, go out and go see this movie. This is actually a really damn good Western. If you're worried because it is a Western, which made me a little weary, but when I saw the cast, I'm like, alright, I think I can get behind this. Sorry, a little stutter there. Stutter. Brain's gone now. Yes, I think you could get behind this and enjoy it, despite the fact if you have any reservations about being a Western, because it's not a Western that feels as dry as many Westerns can be. The characters in this are really damn good. And these are some of the best action sequences you're going to see this year. You're not going to sit there and walk out completely disappointed unless you are expecting some kind of marvelous masterpiece, why it's a remake in all essence. And I am going to talk a little bit about the fact it's a remake. This is one of those times I'm not going to rail against something as a remake. This is a remake of a movie that really... The only time I remember people talking about it was when the original came out. I think there was a remake of it. It was like a TV movie that was made many moons ago, but hell if I remember it. I know I don't. But sorry, I'm having to look it up to see exactly when. Yeah, Magnificent Seven had Steve McQueen in it. I did not know that. Told you, I've never seen the original. But it came out in the 60s. This is 2016. It's 56 years. That is, I think, more than enough time to really remake a movie like this. Sure, I'm pretty sure this didn't have that much different besides, the level of violence and all that. But that'd be a fine time to go ahead and remake it. Hell, they could have remade it and technically made it more of kind of like a modern tale, especially if they wanted to tell the tale of maybe like a corporation greed, which this tries to hint at, but it kind of doesn't do it. Mostly just because it's still set in the Old West. But it could do something like that. And honestly, that's kind of fine. I don't mind a remake of a movie, 50 years after the fact. Sure, I don't think every movie needs to be remade, but for instance, like if it was a crappy movie and they're going to remake it and make it good, why not? But if they're going to remake, like, I didn't get why they tried to bother remaking Poltergeist. Poltergeist is a damn good film. It still holds up to this day. No reason to remake it. Total Recall, same thing. RoboCop, same thing. Even though I will give the RoboCop, if I can give it any credit, it tried at the beginning to really do a more unique tale, just in the falling on its face. Oh well. Sorry, RoboCop. Total Recall, you can go fuck yourself. You just sucked ass. Oh, they tried to do an original story that just had nothing to do with anything, and why did it have the name Total Recall attached to it? Hell, Ghostbusters are that same issue. It's like, why even bother with this? And you constantly hint to the original because the only essence you have similar is that y'all catch ghosts. Better than that. Ugh. No, screw. Fuck Ghostbusters. So at the moon. Brr. Yeah. Magnificent Seven, you're going to enjoy it, even though it's a remake. And I see no problems with this remake. Like, well, I mean, what I've already said, but I don't see why I should hate it just because it's a remake. There's nothing bad here. There's a lot of very, very good, very great things here. So, if you want a final score, I give it a solid 8. I think there's probably a director's cut that we're going to see later on when it gets released on DVD, and I'm going to buy that, especially if they say this is director's cut, and it's like a 20 minutes extra. I'm buying that, or 20 minutes extra added to the movie, like 4.5 hours of other stuff. But I'm going to buy that. This was a fun-ass flick. This is so enjoyable. I was thinking, it's going to be like a 7 or 6. This is going to be a good, not great movie. No, it ended up being a great movie. So, hey, maybe Miss Peregrine will be good. Lord knows Tim Burton didn't try to do any good for a while. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so worried about it, but I'm going to have to go see that because it's either that or Deepwater Horizon, which I just don't care. I might though see Deepwater Horizon just because I think it's going to be like an hour and a half long movie. Because if it's like 2.5 hours, it's going to make no sense because it's like, well, once the disaster happens, we know it all happened fairly quickly. So either you're going to have to stretch, or you're going to have to make a short movie. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, go see Magnificent Seven. You're going to enjoy it. Next week I can try and see another Tim Burton movie and see if he's still not trying. Hopefully he is. Trailers don't make it seem like he is. And I'm worried about this movie even more because I saw like 2 trailers whenever I first started doing these. I have not seen a trailer since. I haven't even seen trailers on TV. It's kind of astounding. I'm fearing this movie's going to bomb pretty hard. So hey, we'll see the movie based on the book, and I will talk more about it all next time. So see you all later.